Indianapolis Colts come in at 20. Again, this is the composite of Bleacher Report, PFF, Sports Illustrated, CBS Sports. Their offseason ranged between a C plus and a B plus, 2.65 on the Check the Mic GPA here. I think that sounds about right for the Colts this offseason.
See, I think that's harsh for the Colts. I think a lot of teams would penalize them because of the departures, right? They lost Ryan Kelly, they lost Will Fries. Like the reasons you're giving the Vikings credit, you subtract the same credit from the Colts for letting them out of the building in the first place. But again, it's like it's sort of like the Eagles. If you have ready-made in-house replacements, you should be looking to get younger and cheaper rather than pay the big contracts and keep those guys around. Like that's how you construct good, consistent rosters year after year. So
I was going to say, I think the criticism is more that where were they in the draft GPA when we did this? They had to be in the bottom 10, right? Or maybe they were higher than I expected, and I was saying that. But like Tyler Warren in the first, good player, expected pick. JTT in the second as like a run-stopping defensive end. And I think it was an unexciting draft for them.
I don't think that's why they're ranked as low as they are in these. I think it's the free agency thing and the fact that their net looks negative because of, they lost a couple of offensive linemen. But I think when you factor in, they almost certainly saw that coming, were comfortable with doing it, and were prepared to let it happen to get younger and cheaper. And by the way, those guys that left, Will Fries is dealing with a small sample size of play, and Ryan Kelly's been injured quite a lot. So it's not like they're risk-free. I have no problem with that approach. You could, if you wanted to criticize them for the quarterback situation, okay. But I think bringing in Daniel Jones as like the foil, the competition for Anthony Richardson is probably the right guy to bring in. Number one, it fits within the offense that you want to build for Anthony Richardson in the first place. Like Daniel Jones, despite looking nothing like Anthony Richardson, actually plays quite a lot like him stylistically. So that part makes sense. I think he's also the right guy to bring in terms of, if you can't beat out Daniel Jones, you don't really belong as a starting quarterback, but equally there's upside attached to Daniel Jones that maybe with a good roster and good coaching, he can give you some solid play. So I think that's a positive move for me. Cameron Bynum, Charvarius Ward, those are good additions to the secondary, and a secondary that's changing, evolving in terms of scheme. I think they've had a good offseason.
I thought they'd get more credit for those two moves. Charvarius Ward and Cameron Bynum, two of the best at their respective positions in free agency. They brought in both, as you said, new scheme, new system. They needed, I think, some talent on the back end. I think Ward has consistently been one of the more underrated corners in the league. And I say underrated, I mean, the Niners just paid him a ton and the Colts just paid him a ton, but I'm saying he's been good out there when he's been healthy. So yeah, I liked those two moves. For me, it's more of the unexciting draft that I wouldn't rank them any higher. I am intrigued by Tyler Warren being added to this offense, though. What he brings to the run game, to the pass game. You could argue they're four weapons. I'm not saying they're the most dynamic weapons with Alec Pierce, Michael Pittman, Josh Downs, and Tyler Warren, but that's a really nice top four, and you throw A.D. Mitchell and whatever he can be in there. I see Laquan Treadwell's on the depth chart too, by the way, just throwing that out there for you. So yeah,
the staying ability of former first-round players is remarkable.
I also think when people are ranking the off seasons, I don't think anyone's giving massive credit for Daniel Jones. And the same way I'm talking about the Raiders, this depends on how you're weighing this. If you're saying, hey, we need to figure out who our quarterback of the future is, I don't think you're solving that this offseason by bringing in Daniel Jones. But if you're trying to be more competitive this year, putting Daniel Jones in a competition with Anthony Richardson makes you more competitive this year, because one of two things happens. Either Anthony Richardson has his head on straight and is developed and beats out Daniel Jones for the starting job, or Daniel Jones, as a quarterback with a run threat, steps into probably the best situation of his 6 or 7 year career here. And you could win some games and maybe knock on the door of the playoffs like they did 2 years ago when Gardner Minshew was starting. So if you're trying to get better this year, Daniel Jones probably, that addition, whether it's him or Richardson, probably does make you better.
But also, I think you can just stop the sentence earlier. Like, I don't think you're solving who the quarterback of the future is this offseason, period, At which point it's just not an it's an unreasonable measuring stick, right? Like I don't think you can judge them based off theoretically not having an answer at the quarterback position because none was available to them this offseason that was a workable, realistic solution. So the approach that they've taken, I think, is a smart approach to it, which is in an ideal world, Anthony Richardson would see off the challenge of Daniel Jones and be the guy going forward and everything's great. If that doesn't happen and Daniel Jones wins the job, I don't think that's a terrible option for them to have as their starting quarterback this season. And then next offseason, we figure out what we're really going to do with the quarterback position. All that is sound process to me. So that's good. That's a positive to me in their offseason approach. I think the players that they brought in are also good additions. Tyler Warren represents filling the single biggest area of weakness on the roster. So that's a good move as well at the top of the draft. And then I'm not penalizing them hard for letting a couple of offensive linemen walk who each had question marks attached to them, who they dealt without for last season for big parts of it as well. And they had replacements ready to rock. To me, the Colts had a really good offseason. And I think the composite is wrong, and I'm against it.
How high should they? Where would you put them in a blind ranking? Offseason.
I mean, I don't top third somewhere, but not like I don't think they're like top 5, but I think they had a good offseason. Thanks for watching all the way to the end of our video.
For more great content, click here to subscribe and here to watch another video. We'll see you again soon.